Welcome once again to Chelan County Connection. I'm your host, Randy Rhodes, and today, Chelan County Assessor and our new Director of Community Development, Deanna Walter. Deanna, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on the show today. Hey, tell us a little bit about how this new position came to be for you.
Well, I was the interim director in 2020 for community development during a transitionary period. And then I went back over to the assessor's office. And then when they needed another interim director at the beginning of last year, so March of 2022, they tapped me again to come over as the interim while they were searching for a permanent director for the department. So I've done 2 stints now as the interim director. And prior to that, I was actually the assistant director for the department when I came back to Wenatchee in 2002. So I've got a little bit of experience in there.
Well, I'd like to be one of the first to say congratulations. The press release just came out this week.
I look good on paper, don't I?
And I've got a face for radio. Deanna, real quick, when did the changes start?
Okay, so I agreed to start full-time in community development as their permanent director on April 1st. First working day will be April 3rd. And I have resigned as the county elected assessor effective March 31st of this year.
Now, Deanna, why did you choose this position over the elected position?
I wouldn't say that I chose one over the other. I have a passion for both, as my background really was conducive to both departments. The assessor's office over the last 12 years, I've worked really hard at focusing on customer service and being available to the public and transparency and efficiencies. And we're there. We're there. And another department that I happen to have some experience and expertise in needed help. And so as part of the county family, I've been around for a long time. I've devoted my whole career to serving the public, and this is just another aspect of that.
Well, Deanna, give us your thoughts on taking on the new role, and it's really one of the more difficult positions in the county government.
It is. I would say it's, of all the appointed officials, it's probably the most politically motivated position. There's just a lot of politics involved. And so my goal, and in discussions with the county commissioners, is I plan to take the politics out of it. We are facilitators of the code, and we're going to bend over backwards to make sure that we are transparent and helpful to the public and timely, really focusing on customer service. But I'm not inclined to waive rules. That's the same rules apply to everybody. So there's got to be predictability and consistency in application. And so I think the public hopefully will recognize that and appreciate that they may not like the final decision, but it will be consistent and predictable. And, you know, there's going to be people that are unhappy, but this position works for the county commissioners on behalf of all of the citizens of this county, not a select few, not special interest groups, all of them.
You know, Deanna, you've been very successful, and we thank you for your service as our county assessor. A lot of people don't know you really started out as a planner. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I did. So I actually went to school and received my first bachelor's degree in actuarial science, so math and statistics, and then got married right away. Moved to Spokane, where actuaries really only work out of the big cities, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco. I had no desire to go to a big city. So after working for a year, I went back to school and picked up a second bachelor's degree in urban and regional planning, and immediately started in the planning field, starting in Kootenai County, and then working my way over to Spokane County, and then eventually coming back home where I was born and raised to Wenatchee. And here I am, still here.
There's no place like home.
There truly is no place like home.
Let's visit about some of your plans for community development. What have you been able to accomplish so far as the interim director?
So I'm sure people will understand that as the interim director, my powers are limited. There's only so much I can do. And in the beginning, not knowing who the permanent director would be or what kind of personality that was, I was apprehensive about building staff and doing hirings because I was essentially building a team that I could take from there. But at the time, that wasn't a consideration. So I had to be very careful in hiring and building certain aspects of the department. So now that it's public and we've come to an agreement on my status there being the permanent director, I can kind of take that to the next level. And we're really going to really focus on customer service. And, just cleaning up the code and making sure that we're available to the public. I would love to, the same thing I did in the assessor's office, start having community meetings, not just for builders and developers, but for the public. There's a lot of things that the public don't know. And I find myself saying a lot to staff. It may be the 100th time you've said that today, but it's the first time that person's heard it. So we need to be understanding that we work in a specialty that isn't familiar to a lot of people that are just trying to build something on their property or have a question. So just being transparent and making sure that people have the information they need to make good decisions.
Deanna, what do you feel like you would like to immediately or, coming out of the gate accomplish in the permanent role now?
One of the things we really need to pay attention to is any legislative changes. So that's really important. There's some legislative changes coming down the pike to address timing and not timing of applications for the constituents and the applicants, but our processing timelines. And so that's really about the last 4 months, that's really been a focus of mine, making sure that we are meeting timelines. And with that comes making sure that we're appropriately staffed so that we can meet those timelines.
And there have been various directors over the years. How do you feel your approach is going to be a little bit different?
Well, we have had a myriad of directors, some from this area and some outside of this area, most from outside of this area. And the directors that we have had from inside this area really have come from a certain sector of the private sector, basically. Uh-huh. And so I'm really going to try and focus on the fairness and equity and application of the code and consistency. And looking long term, if we do something now, what does that look like in 20 years? Just being cognizant of the expectations of the public, and that if we're helping somebody through a process now, that the predictability should be there in 5 years, that we're providing the same level of service and the same information. Consistency, predictability, customer service.
Chelan County Director of Community Development, Deanna Walter, joining us this time out on Chelan County Connection. Deanna, just for clarity, give us a bit of an elevator speech of what does the Director of Community Development do?
So the Director of Community Development ideally should be the person, although we facilitate the application of adopted county codes, the director should be looking out above the clouds to make sure we're heading in the right direction. Offering information and, when requested, guidance to the county commissioners, checking for blind spots, and just providing really a good environment for both employees and the community. There, over the years, have been little snippets about being the Department of Community Denial. I'm gonna change that. Customer service does not always mean customer satisfaction. We're gonna bend over backwards to make sure that we have exhausted every avenue before we say no.
And as an example, what are the groups and individuals that you'll be dealing with?
The bulk of the individuals we deal with are just private property owners that just want to do something on their property, whether it's building or creating a small business. And then we have other groups that act as agents on behalf of property owners. So we've got surveyors and agents and developers. And so we deal with everybody.
Deanna, you've been our county assessor at Chelan County since 2011. You've done a stellar job. You and your whole crew, you've built an excellent reputation for yourself. How do you say goodbye and so long to the crew there?
We had a staff meeting yesterday, and actually it wasn't goodbye. I'm just going across the street. They know that I am a dependable resource for them. I'm so incredibly grateful for every single person over there. I told them this in our staff meeting, that assessors may come and go because we're elected, but that department is made up of every single staff member over there. It doesn't run without every single one of them. So with that being said, I don't want anybody to think that the assessor's job is easy. There are so many elements of it that I really enjoyed, and I will still be available to assist them. And I don't want to see anybody watching me walk away from this thinking, oh, that was an easy job. She went on to something more challenging. They both have different challenges. This community development department just at this point needed me more. So it wasn't goodbye to my staff. It was, I'm always available for you. You're doing great work. Continue down this path.
What are some of the highlights? Give me a couple of highlights of, being the Chelan County assessor and, some of the great people you've worked with.
In the last day, I am amazed at how many emails that I've gotten from people that I've met out in the community as the assessor, congratulating me and applauding the commissioners. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It's just, I think after 12 or 13 years of the assessor's office being so open and transparent, and I did all the community meetings because I thought it was important that people know how we function and how it works, that we don't operate in a vacuum, and that it's all public record. They have a right to know. I'm going to approach the community development director position in the same manner, that I would love to start implementing community meetings so that the public has access to us. I think when you're on the county campus, they think they only can call you for certain things. That's not the case.
And again, Deanna Walter, congratulations on the new position of Director of Community Development here in Chelan County. Any final thoughts from you?
I just really appreciate the support that the community has given me in both my capacity as the county assessor and now so much support going into this new role. I look forward to the challenge. I plan to retire here. I was born and raised in this valley, and I'll retire here, and I plan on going out on a good note.
All right, Deanna Walter, our guest on this edition of Chelan County Connection. I'm your host, Randy Rhodes, and until next time, take care and God bless.